Hello and welcome to BikeWale, and today we're going to talk about the new Honda CB200X. It's a new motorcycle that Honda has launched. It is Honda's most affordable adventure motorcycle in India right now, and in a sense it is competition to the Hero Xpulse 200. How and whether they're similar, how they're different, we're going to talk about that a little later in the later part of the video. For now, we'll just tell you what the 200X is all about. Now the 200X is based on the Hornet 2.0. And if you look closely, you'll find that the half fairing up front is the only really telling difference between the two. Otherwise, the motorcycles are the same. You take the chassis, you take the wheels, you take the tires, you take the engine, the gearbox, everything, including the ground clearance, is identical. Suspension is the same. The only real difference really is 142 is the curb weight for the Hornet, but with this added bodywork, the 200X weighs 5 kgs more. What is also different is the seating triangle. So the 200X is slightly upright, and that is to give it that ADV feel again. Now Honda says the 200X is essentially meant for people who are going to spend most of their time riding in the city, and over the weekends they would want to go out. Not necessarily over trails, but if they choose to take some trails, this motorcycle should work. And that's because it's got slightly different tires compared to the Hornet. It's slightly blocky pattern, so it should work better in dirt. But otherwise, you could look at it as like an ADV form, a road-going ADV form of the Hornet 2.0. Now the bookings for the motorcycles are already on. $2,000 to book the motorcycle. Deliveries start in first week of September. And it will be available in the red showrooms or the Honda red showrooms or the regular Honda showrooms, not the BikeWale. Now in terms of styling, the CB200X and the Hornet are slightly different. The 200X gets a completely new half fairing up front. It's got these knuckle guards on taller handlebars, which are again different from the Hornet, and these knuckle guards also include or incorporate the side indicators. The tank is the same, the side panel is slightly different, and the tail again is the same. Front mudguard identical, and you've got a seat that's slightly wider on the CB200X compared to the Hornet. Otherwise, the design and the chassis etc. are the same, and the two other differences that how you can differentiate the CB200X from the Hornet is the different engine cowl and a different exhaust guard. Now, like we told you, the CB200X is based on the Hornet 2.0. Everything from the engine to the other bits of the drivetrain, chassis, etc. is the same, and we'll just run you through what those specs are now. So the CB200X is powered by a 184.4cc air-cooled single. It makes 17 horsepower at 8,500 RPM, and the torque is 16.1 Newton meter. Nothing outstanding there, but pretty much par for the course, so no real issues. Wheelbase again is similar to the Hornet, 1355 mm, and the tire sizes, front is 110/70, rear is 140/70. The tire size is the same, but of course the pattern, the tread pattern is different. The ground clearance is again the same at 167 mm. We would have thought that given the CB200X is slightly oriented towards adventure, maybe Honda would have done something about that, but of course that's also the same as the Hornet 2.0. Gearbox, a 5-speed unit, and the fuel tank capacity is 12 liters, which again is identical to the Hornet 2.0, and it uses a single 276 mm disc up front and a 220 mm disc at the back, but it is a single channel ABS, exactly like the Hornet 2.0. Now before we tell you how the 200X competes or compares with the Xpulse 200, which is the other affordable ADV in a sense, let's just tell you what the 200X might feel like on the road. And I say might because we've not ridden the motorcycle, but like we said, it's heavily, completely based on the Hornet 2.0, and I've spent some time riding the Hornet 2.0. So I think it would be similar. So you've got something that is smooth, something that's very easy to ride, something that's reasonably quick, especially in the city. It doesn't feel slow at all. With 17 horsepower. The ride is good. It is quite flickable. Now, given that there is a slight difference in the ergos, seating ergos of the Hornet 2.0 and the 200X, it might change how the Hornet versus the 200X might respond to your inputs, especially in the city when you're flicking through traffic. And I think maybe, and unless we write that, we can't tell you for sure, but given the weight, given the change in ergos, the 200X might feel slightly lazier than the Hornet when it comes to quick direction changes. But otherwise, it's going to be pretty similar to the Hornet 2.0, and that in itself is a good motorcycle. The only thing missing on that bike is like an emotive feeling when you ride that motorcycle. It doesn't something that you can see in the Apache 200, something you can feel in the Pulsar, but that's missing on the Hornet. It lacks emotion in a sense, or doesn't translate that into the rider. At least we didn't feel that way, and I think that isn't going to change with the 200X. So it'll be more efficient tool than rather an emotive piece of machinery that you'd want to look and enjoy. Now, like we said at the start, that we're going to give you an idea about how the 200X compares with the Xpulse 200, and why the 200, why the Xpulse 200, because that's really what you would call affordable ADV. You've also got the Himalayan, but in terms of pricing, it's closer to the 200X is closer to the Xpulse. 1.44 for the 200X, 1.20 for the Xpulse, all ex-showroom pricing. So yes, the Honda is more expensive, but if you look at the specs and you look at the engine, essentially both 200, but the Xpulse displaces slightly more, 199cc thereabouts. And in terms of power, again, there's more power in the Xpulse, there's more torque in the Xpulse, otherwise the gearboxes are same. And in terms of ground clearance, of course, the Xpulse has more. You also look at it, it's got spoke wheels, it's got, in terms of purpose-built tires, I think it's similar for both bikes. But yeah, Xpulse has got the larger 21-inch wheel at the front, which means when you're going off-road, you're hitting obstacles, it goes better over them, or tracks better over them than a smaller 17-inch wheel, which is what the 200X runs. And the Xpulse has longer travel suspension, or it travels more, longer travel than the 200X. So in that sense, clearly the Xpulse is the better option if you want to do something more serious off-road. But if you're just going to take a regular trail, up a off-road, up a hill, etc., then the 200X will also work. Now, between the 200X and the Xpulse 200, we've already told you what they might feel like off-road, or at least how they might differ. Now, in the city, if you purchase this bike for commuting, then clearly the 200X might be a better bet in the sense that it's going to be more reactive to your inputs. It's also got alloys compared to spoke wheels, which means if you have a puncture, it's a lot easier to get somewhere and get it fixed, or fix it yourself, than with a spoked wheel. So that sort of convenience the 200X will certainly bring in daily commuting every day, so you won't be stuck anywhere, and that, at least in my head, is a big plus, especially when you want to commute in the city. And it's got a little bit of protection at the front, so during rains, maybe if you're going through puddles and dirt, maybe not all of that will come on you in a way. So, but otherwise, I think, and of course, it's got smaller wheels, right? So it's going to be easier to turn around and maybe park as well. But that's something that we'll figure out when we get the bike to ride on the street. But this is just based on the specs and, of course, our experience with the Hornet 2.0 and the Xpulse 200. So, should you book the CB200X then, or buy the CB200X? Well, you should if these things work for you. Number one, you need a motorcycle mainly for road use, very little for off-road use. Then yes, you want a motorcycle that has more road presence than the Hornet 2.0, because you're paying around a little over 10,000 more for the 200X over the Hornet 2.0, and you're paying that money essentially for styling. So if you want better road presence, that's the one, the 200X is what you should go for. If you want peace of mind, if you want an easy to ride motorcycle, easy to live with motorcycle, Hornet 2.0, just like the Hornet 2.0, the 200X is also that option. Now, Honda says this is for the millennials, the young people, young executives, and of course it fits that, but it is a comfortable, should be a comfortable motorcycle to live with. Yeah, and if you have any more questions about the CB200X, we can answer them in the comments below, or when we write them, we'll certainly have clearer, better, more answers for you. Thank you for watching.